Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Slow to Speak podcast. This is the place where myself and others like me explore ideas around culture, current events, spirituality, and philosophy. This is the digital fireside chat where you are invited to pull up a chair and join us in the simple joy that comes from a curious and engaging dialogue about the things that shape and affect our lives. On today's episode of Slow to Speak, we are going to be exploring the role that fiction and reading fiction into adulthood plays in forming us. Today's episode was a really fun one for me. I think it's just a blast to explore topics like this here at Slow to Speak. Not just the things that are deeply intellectual, but also the things that we do, even like hobbies like reading, that also play a very formative role in our lives. And I think you might actually find as we go through the episode and talk through different things that you might be surprised actually how important or how significant a role reading fiction can play in the way that things like this can shape and form our lives. So today's episode is for people who maybe you're a reader yourself and you just want to see what other people are discussing around the topic, or maybe you're somebody who you used to be a reader or you're not currently, but you're definitely, you want to be, or you're curious about becoming a reader. I definitely think today's episode is one that you want to tune into or share with people who might be in that kind of a place. And so there's a guest on today's episode that I interview. They're co-author of a book series that they're going to talk about. They know far more than me about the role of fiction and how it forms and shapes our lives. So I'm very excited to talk about them. But also one of the best parts about it is that they happen to be my sibling. So I'm excited for you guys to meet my sister Katie and hear from her. So with that, let's get into it. Katie, welcome to Slow to Speak. Thank you for being here. This is fun for me because you are not just a podcast guest. You are a sibling of mine, and not just any sibling. You are the bookend sibling of our little sibling squadron of 4. And I think a couple things. One, it'll become apparent in just a little bit, specifically on the topic of books, like why you're talking to me about this. But 2, it's worth saying that probably since COVID, or maybe a little before, we have like a group chat and a text thread that has been active almost every day. So tons of shared interests, similar likes. And so, yeah, it's fun because this is a topic I think is going to be fun to talk about, but also it's really fun to have somebody on who also shares very similar interests and humor and all these kinds of things. Anyways, thank you for being here and giving us your time.
Yes, as soon as you sent that text, I don't think I replied yes. I could talk
Yeah.
about books all day, so I think this is going to be perfect.
Yes, indeed. So, I want to share a little bit of a backstory for why. Have I even shared this with you yet? Like why I'm talking about it?
No, but tell me.
Okay. Again, texting so much, you just never can't remember what's shared. So, I mean, in general, maybe I'll think of like a better title when we release the episode because I don't feel like it's too captivating yet. But it's essentially, why is fiction important to read as an adult? And this whole like thing came about because there's somebody I know who works for this organization called Healthy Growing Leaders, and they have like these assessments they put out that people can take and essentially tell you how healthy or not you are. And they emailed asking if I'd be part of this group who would help them tune one of their new instruments, one of their new assessments. And it was essentially gauging how healthy are you. And one of the, or maybe 2 of the questions within the whole battery of the assessment was, do you still have dreams? Not like, do you dream at night when you go to sleep? But like when you think about your life and you think about what you can achieve or things that you want to do with your life, do you still have dreams? And do you have any sense of hope of obtaining those dreams? And I remember sitting there somewhat existentially thinking like, do I? And I ended up marking, yes, I do. So I said, yes, I definitely do. I have dreams. I have hopes for my life, and I don't think that they're unobtainable. And after the assessment was over, I was just stuck on that question and was trying to ask myself, why am I that way? Like, I'm assuming even the whole idea of a midlife crisis is like, I thought my life was going to be one way and it's not. What am I doing? What have I been wasting my life on? Or at least that's what midlife crises used to be. And it just struck me that I think one of the reasons why, for me personally, I still have dreams in my life and why I still believe it's possible to obtain them, it's worth striving after them, is because I read fiction and I read a lot of it. Um, Not as much as you. We'll cover that. I'll give credit where it's due.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. But I feel like spending time with these characters and moving in and out of these stories and seeing characters interact with one another, meet new people along the way, experience tremendous hardship, both personally, internally, as well as circumstantially, navigate them, overcome them, see what's on the other side. Like reading fiction, reading fantasy even has helped me see the bigger picture of my own life and believe that like I want to be fully present right where I am, but also there's still a lot more going on big picture wise, and we can overcome these hard things and we can do it in relationship with the people around us and do all these things. And so fantasy, it almost like in reflecting on all of this, I've been talking too long, but
No.
in reflecting on all of it, it almost went to a new level of like endearment to me, of like a new love almost of the genre, fiction as a thing, but then also like I read a ton of like fantasy stories and all these kinds of things. And so, yeah, I was sharing that with people not too long ago as like a quirk about me. And they were like, oh, did you know that like the Inklings, like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien and those guys also felt the exact same way? I was like, what? I had no clue. And we'll get
Good
into that in a little
company.
bit, but yeah, it almost made me feel so justified right off the bat. But anyways, that's some of like where the topic came from and why I want to talk about fantasy as adults. And I've said fantasy, but also just fiction. I know there's more to it, but also just to kind of get started, would love for you to even share like, why does reading fiction, why does reading fantasy, whatever genres you want to talk about, like why is that important to you? What have you felt like has been valuable in your own life about reading these things? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so much of what you said, I was like nodding along, nodding along. Yeah, yes, like
Yeah.
yes. All of what you were saying. It's so like I mean, I've been reading fiction for since I was a kid. Like mom gave me
Yep.
Nancy Drew and that was, it. I remember laying by the door trying to read by the light coming in under the door. And mom and dad's room was right by mine. And so anytime I heard them
Yeah.
walking, I had to like hide and run back in bed.
Yep.
Uh, Fedora Tonks, a product of fiction.
Yes. Hello,
Uh,
Tonks.
but then it was like Animorphs, and that is a
Oh
little more
gosh.
like, do you remember that is?
I remember the covers.
So that was a little more like sci-fi. And then
Yep.
there was the Thoroughbred series, which was like the horses and I mean the Saddle Club, all the horse fiction books I
Hmm.
just devoured. But
Yep.
I love I feel like when you become the protagonist in a book, you experience things that you don't get to experience in your everyday life.
Hmm.
And, if you're fully immersing yourself in the story, you're feeling all of these emotions. Like you can feel
Mm.
joy or love or fear, like I
Yep.
remember reading Monster by Frank Peretti.
Oh
And
my gosh. Yes.
I was sitting at work in a brightly lit cafeteria, scared, reading
Yeah.
Monster, and you don't, it's kind of like safe scared because you're reading a book, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think I read to find myself in characters. I feel like I'm kind of a quirky, unique
Yeah.
person, but then you read a book and you see this character and you're like, oh, like this
Yeah.
person, this character, lots of people reading this book like this character, and I see myself in this character. So maybe
Yep.
this weird little quirk is kind of actually endearing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I don't know, books are just so special. I was thinking how so many of my adult friendships started because of a book. So,
Hmm.
like, I mean, my friend Monica, it was probably Twilight, and we were probably like, you know, Team Edward, Team Jacob, whatever. But those
Yeah. Yeah.
conversations were spurred because of that book.
Okay.
Callie, she
Hmm.
and we were at Pine Cove, had just met each other, and they were somebody was talking about Twilight, and I said something about this vampire book by this author named Robin McKinley, and she was like, "Wait, you've read Sunshine too?" And or it was the other way around, but it was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, like now we have this common link." And
Yep.
oh my gosh, I love Constantine. He's so great. And you know,
Yep.
Lauren, my co-author, like we started talking because of Harry Potter and
Hmm.
talking about the stories in Harry Potter and like, Sam, our cousin Sam and our cousin Mandy, like we can almost have just conversations in fiction. And
Yeah.
it's just this connecting, unifying, special. There's a quote somewhere that says, "You read to learn you're not alone." And I really feel
Hmm.
like that's it for me. And like Ethan, even you, like I can talk to you about Aragon or Brandon Sanderson, Harry
Yep.
Potter, soon Red Rising, probably. Like
Yep.
we can talk about all these characters and the themes and the books. Like, I don't know. There's just so much stuff that not only is it surface level that you can talk about, but when you get into the weeds of it, all these different themes come out. And if somebody,
Hmm.
says one thing and you think a different way, I don't know. I feel like it leads to more open ended, level headed discussions
Yep.
just going through these characters.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I just had this the other day. I have a board game. I haven't played it yet, but it's the Red Rising board game.
Yeah.
And there was this guy who was essentially like passing through town. He was picking up a friend, and they just stopped in our house to pick up their friend and chat for a little bit. We just met up, never really interacted with him much before that. And he saw the board game. He's like, "Oh, dude, you've read Red Rising?" And I was like, "Yeah." And all of a sudden, this perfect stranger, might not ever see him again. There was this link of like, we've felt similar emotions in our life now before. Like we have different connections. What did you think about this? And it was crazy. There was instant connection, instant rapport, um, from a book. I know that there are people who experience similar things with like TV shows. It's
Sure.
almost like, um, one that you and I both love. It's like if you hear somebody casually drop a quote from Parks and Rec or something, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I know we can probably get along for the most part because we have
They,
similar sense of humor and love it. But I was actually just talking to Emily about this before we hopped on the call. One of the things that's unique about books, and not all, but TV shows for the most part, you're like a fly on the wall watching.
Mhm.
You get to know characters, you get to see things happen. That certainly is also how books, can be told as well. It's almost third person, right? It's
Mhm.
probably the technical term. But oftentimes in books, you're like in the head of the character.
Right.
And that's unique. I feel like I don't know if you get that in other mediums, or it doesn't translate quite as well as it does in books.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, you were speaking to this a little bit, but like feeling what the character feels, or to use an example that we care about, like let's think about, in the Stormlight Archive, Kaladin
Oh my god.
struggling with what he was struggling with.
Yes.
If you're just like observing it from the outside or whatever, like you don't really, you can maybe infer what he's feeling, but like being inside his head, knowing his backstory, doing what only Sanderson can do with his character building, like it takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah, I literally, when I was reviewing some of the stuff you wanted to talk about for one of the points further down, I have a full thing about Kaladin. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's keep it moving then, because if we're already hitting on some of these things, but I was gonna jump essentially a question.
Okay.
If I look off to the side, I'm looking at my questions. But if I miss the one that had the part of Kaladin on it, then just please bring it into it. But
No,
um,
it's number 3.
okay, perfect. That's where I was going.
Oh,
Um,
hey.
so C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and a few others were part of a group that they kind of called the Inklings. This is kind of what, if anybody's unfamiliar with the Inklings, I want to read kind of a recap of who it was. It's an informal literary group that included C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, Charles Williams, and others. And they specifically, we alluded to this, had quite a bit to say on the issue of reading fiction as adults. But I wanted to read a quote from C.S. Lewis and even just a recap of what he thought about fiction and get your thoughts on it. So this is a little snippet on kind of what C.S. Lewis thought about reading fiction. It says that Lewis believed imaginative fiction trains the moral and the spiritual imagination in a way factual reading cannot. He argued that stories help us feel truths deeply rather than just know them intellectually. And then a quote from Lewis himself was, "When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up." And I love that quote because part of becoming an adult was putting away the fear of being perceived as childish with those things. And so, yeah, what do you think about that
Yeah, I
perspective
mean,
that C.S. Lewis has?
like, I agree with it, obviously.
Yeah.
um, and I love that quote about the childish things. I want to say when he made a dedication to one of the Narnia books, it was to his ugh, niece, somebody, and was like, for when you're, oh, I can't believe I don't know this quote by heart. Dang it. But it's like, for when you're brave enough to read fiction again, or when it's something along those lines. Like when you grow up to read basically what you were just saying. And there's books that I have read as an adult that are decidedly kid, like Percy Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Both,
Yep.
but those books are so special to me because when I read them, I was in a low place, and those books got me to laugh when I didn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
laughing. And so I will always be thankful to Rick Riordan for creating Percy and his friends, because those books, while kids' books, really impacted me as an adult.
Yep.
And I just think, like we've kind of said, it lets you get in the head of a character and you have no choice but to experience what they're experiencing. So, Kaladin, for example, in the
Yes.
Stormlight Archive,
Yep. Let's go
um,
there.
Brandon Sanderson wrote him as a hero character, but one who really struggles with depression. And as the reader, you have no choice but to sit through that with him, unless you are a monster and skip those
Yep.
sections. A
Yep.
monster, I say.
Yeah.
But so somebody who has never blessedly, experienced depression can read those passages and be like, wow, I never thought it could impact somebody this way. Or
Mm-hmm.
somebody, like myself, I read that and I love Kaladin because I see how low he gets, but he's still a hero. And even when he is at his lowest, he has his friend, Syl,
Mm-hmm.
come alongside him and help pull him through that. So then, it's almost like a 2-for-1 on that, because if you're reading it and you've never experienced depression, not only are you getting to see how it impacts somebody that you probably know, but you can see how Syl or Adolin, they come alongside Kaladin and they love him and they pick him up, and he's so grateful for that. And he's not always able to articulate it, but you know from reading it and being in his head how much they mean to him. And I just
Yep.
think that's so special. You know, when you read, you get to
Mhm.
be a dragon slayer or a dragon rider or, you know, a wizard or a witch or, you know, an elf or a dwarf or
Yep.
those are all fiction. You know, you can be a tribute in the Hunger Games or,
Yep.
you know, I meant fantasy, but,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And some of it too is that dynamic of, again, if a writer's really like gifted and skillful in it, you get to really experience those things with the characters that, again, or at least it has to be experienced in a different way through a TV series or through like a biography or
Right.
something. Like it can still happen. It doesn't put you in the head of people. I love what you said makes me think of and I did not know this prior. This wasn't like I'm some super intelligent like fiction historian. Like, so just disclaimer.
Yeah.
There's a British author, Neil Gaiman. You
Oh,
ever heard
yeah.
his name?
I've read some of his books.
So apparently he wrote a book. Part of the title is called "Why Our Future Depends on Libraries." Have you heard of that?
No, but
So, um, I hadn't either, and this is just kind of what pulled from it in my digging. But
yeah.
this is a quote in that book. He says, "Fiction builds empathy. It puts you inside someone else's head." And I just think it's a really simple idea, but it is being able to see life and feel life through the eyes of someone else,
Yes.
um, which is my understanding of empathy.
Mhm.
Um, one of my, I think as humans, we can kind of abuse everything. So I know that that exists there, but one of the things I'm wary of right now is that it's fairly popular, depending on your political leaning, to either overly idolize empathy or to say empathy is all bad and is toxic.
Mhm.
I don't think you have to believe either thing in all certainty. I think there's a very real space in which empathy is part of what we're even called to as followers of Jesus, to understand the pains and sufferings of others. And so
Yeah.
fiction helps you flex that muscle if you struggle with it.
Yeah. Totally agree. And I feel like too, I mean, I don't know. Do you reread books?
The only series I've ever reread, that's not true. I've reread two series. Red Rising for sure.
Uh,
Um, and then the Inheritance series.
oh, Aragon. Yeah. I love to reread books because feel like I can get things out of it reading it
Hmm.
again that I just missed, you know, the first time. So The Book Thief is a book that I read. I will always reread that book. It will always break my
Hmm.
heart into a million pieces. But I get something out of it every single time that's different than the previous time that I read it. I think I've read it like 3 or 4 times, maybe.
Sure.
Um, so I think you can always, like, books will never stop teaching you. You know, the characters in the books will never
Hmm.
stop giving you wisdom and
Yeah.
little nuggets. I
Hmm.
found the quote from C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
You can edit this out if you want to. But it
Sure.
basically is what you said. So it's for his goddaughter, Lucy. So that's who he
Okay.
started writing like
Nice.
in the wardrobe for.
I
So
love
it
that.
says, My dear Lucy, I wrote this story for you, but when I began it, I had not realized that girls grow quicker than books. As a result, you are already too old for fairy tales, and by the time it is printed and bound, you will be older still. But someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. You can then take it down from some upper shelf, dust it, and tell me what you think of it. I shall probably be too deaf to hear and too old to understand a word you say, but I shall still be your affectionate godfather, C.S. Lewis.
Man,
Right?
I love that.
I do too.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
He just has so many like gems. Um,
Yeah, so many good one-liners from that guy.
yeah.
Oh, he's
No
good.
book.
I'm sorry, yeah, go.
No, you go ahead.
No. I have to find it, so you go.
Okay. Well, while you look, I'll just read off a few quotes I found really cool. Lewis said, no book is really worth reading at the age of 10, which is not equally and often far more worth reading at the age of 50 and beyond. I love that. I've often even
Yeah.
heard this is departing from the quotes a little bit, but with me being in school right now for theology and all that kind of intellectual stuff,
Right.
I've even heard, and this kind of gets at the idea of communicating ideas and to youth, but like I've often heard like the sign of a good theologian or maybe even the sign of a good storyteller is if they can explain complex things to kids, to
Yes.
little minds.
Yes.
Um, Neil Gaiman again says, fiction is the lie that tells the truth.
Yeah.
I love that. It's almost like, oh, this is good. I didn't think about this until now, but like pages of scripture, David caught in sin,
Yeah.
he's confronted. And he's confronted by,
Daniel?
could be, probably, the guy who just said he's in school studying this stuff, can't think of the name on the spot. But
But well, it's
anyways,
not a pressure.
yeah, well, anyways, David is in sin and he's confronted in his sin. But the way he's confronted, David wasn't able to acknowledge his own life. He wasn't able to acknowledge the truth of his life. He's confronted with a story.
Hmm.
And the story's told to him. And then the prophet says, what should we do to this man who confronted this sin? And David is like, hold him accountable to justice. He says, you're that man.
Yeah.
And it's a story. It's the lie that tells the truth. It almost makes us able to accept and encounter harder things that maybe we're trying not to address. Like maybe there's something you haven't quite grieved in your life and you're reading a story, then something really sad happens and you just start weeping and you don't know why. It's like, well, you weren't able to really
Yeah.
encounter that until this unlocked that.
Yeah. I totally, yes. Prophet with Nathan. So Nathaniel, Nathan is close.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. Thank you for confirming that. That's good.
The quote I was going to say about Lewis is, he said, since it is so likely that children will meet cruel enemies, let them at least have heard of brave knights and heroic courage. Otherwise, you're making their destiny not brighter, but darker.
Wow.
Right? Like,
That'll preach.
this guy, like, he speaks in Pinterest quotes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this isn't the same. I think it's very much so worth acknowledging that there are people who don't speak in language like you and I speak, whether it's people that speak through sign language or speak through other means.
Mm-hmm.
But language is by and large, for the majority of people, spoken language, written language, words, are by and large the way that we convey meaning. And stories are just composed of these things that carry meaning in our lives. And so, yeah, it's no wonder these would, even just the quote you just read about like having heard of knights and having heard of people mighty to challenge these things is beautiful to think of. Like now there is a belief of like, I can overcome this hard thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Frodo was like I loved Frodo. So my freshman year of K-State was really hard. And I would always think if Frodo can get the ring to Mordor, even though it's waging war on his mind and weakening him mightily, I can pass biology.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I have never met a more
Pro Frodo.
convinced pro Frodo advocate than you. So Elijah Wood, if you find yourself listening to this, you have a super fan here. What you just said kind of really builds into a new question. So this isn't on the list I sent you. Unfortunately, I apologize.
That's okay.
But I'll ask the question and then kind of follow it up with some stuff from Tolkien specifically. So another Inklings member, for those that don't know, Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings books, as well as a bountiful collection of other novels that kind of revolve around the world of Middle-earth that he built. But he actually had quite a bit to say to his critics. And there were critics of Lewis and others in the Inklings. They would just say, this is just escapism. Being in fantasy is just escaping reality. And Lewis has a quote, and then Tolkien has a quote, and I think I resonate with Tolkien's more, but Lewis says, the usual accusation is that fantasy is escapist, and I have never understood why escape, in that sense, is supposed to be a bad thing. The only people who hate escapees are jailers. Um, I know. And then, let's see, Tolkien saw enjoying fiction not as an escape from duty, but rather an escape from the prison of modernity and trivial things, being just caught up by distractions. And this quote of his specifically made me think of Frodo, and obviously made me think of you and why you've described your admiration of Frodo. And it almost feels like this quote is what he had in mind when he was writing Frodo's character. He said, "If adults are to read fairy stories as a natural branch of literature, then the worth of such stories must be tested not merely by the best of them, but by the best in them." And this idea of who's in the story and the best inside that story being the test of it it made me think of the story of Frodo overcoming, or, well, I'll just stop there with that part. But
Yeah.
anyways, I love it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Do you feel like putting some of yourself in your character and seeing that character overcome certain circumstances is almost helping you process your own challenges, your own things that you're working through?
100,000%.
Okay.
There's,
Yeah.
there's stuff from this third book that's coming out that I did when I was walking through the grief of losing Scout. And then shortly after, everything else that followed.
Yeah.
And there are things where, like, it really helped me not only be like, okay, like, see how God views us. Like, Lauren and I aren't putting Steele through these hard things because we hate her. We can see her potential. We know how much she can grow, but in order to grow, she has to go through these hard things. And by doing things that I won't say because of spoilers for all the books, they're not good things that happen to her. Like, they're bad things that happen to her. But it came because, like, we love her. She can, like, overcome these things. And the reward is that much greater for not only, like, her character arc, like just getting her from point A to point B, but then, like, her ability to perform at this level now. And so I really leaned hard on her in some of these moments in the aftermath of Gout and in the dark days. Yeah, I mean, I know, like, Lauren and I created her, but she inspires me and surprises me. And I'm just proud of her, which means I'm proud of me.
Yeah, right? Which is a lot harder than you think.
It is.
That's cool. Well, I want to keep moving because we're definitely going to get to discussing the series.
Yeah.
And before we get there, there's one more question. And this is essentially, like, I've communicated in the intro, like, people that are potentially considering taking up reading again, or maybe, a few minutes into this podcast, they're like, you know what? I'm convinced. Like, let's give it a shot again.
Yeah.
What are some book series or authors that you've read that you would just see as a great place for people to try and get back into reading fantasy, reading fiction, enjoying reading again?
Yeah. So I thought about this and had 1,000 answers come into my head.
Nice.
Because basically, to me, it would depend on what are you looking for? What kind of a reader are you? Because my favorite book series is Wheel of Time. I adore that series. I've read it through 3 times, and there's 14 books. But it is not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's high fantasy. The books are long, but if you want like a really good, dig your claws in, character driven story, that's the one for you. Like, it's so good,
Okay.
but it is long, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yep.
Brandon Sanderson, like his Stormlight books are maybe more readable than Wheel of Time. So if you wanted something comparable, it'd be like Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia. Both really good. One's just denser than the other,
Yep.
in my
Yep.
opinion. I love The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. That was a
Okay.
Sam recommendation. Um,
Shout out.
yeah, a lot of these probably will be.
Great.
She is so good at finding good
Hmm.
books. And so is Mandy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Like,
That's like a unique talent because maybe people don't always have the patience to actually do that. Like,
yeah.
it's one thing to find good new music. It's another thing entirely to find new series.
Oh, Sam is why she made a book called Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, and it's a thriller. And it's so good. It got me back on this thriller kick that I've been on for
Hmm.
like 2 years, maybe.
Nice.
But Marissa Meyer, The Lunar Chronicles, it's more young adult, um, and it is fairy tales, but told in like a sci-fi dystopian world. So the first book is called
Well,
Cinder, and she is a, oh, help me, what is the ha- cyborg? I was like half
there you go.
human, half robot. She's a cyborg and she has a metal foot. So her story is like Cinderella. Then they have
Hmm.
Scarlet and she's like Red Riding Hood. And then they have Cress and she's like Rapunzel and Winter and she's Snow White. And the characters
Hmm.
all, each character has their own book, but they all interact across the story. It's
Okay.
excellent. If somebody's looking for easy, fun reads, I will, of course, always recommend Percy Jackson. So if you're looking for something light or something funny, Percy Jackson, the Kane
Hmm.
Chronicles, both by Rick Riordan. He does the mythology. You learn all about the ancient gods and goddesses. The Egyptian one is fascinating. I love ancient
Hmm.
Egypt. Loved learning more about the gods and goddesses back then. Roshni Chokshi has a series called Arusha. It was um, Rick Riordan did a whole series on Rick Riordan Presents, and he sponsored different authors. And
That's funny.
this one is on Hindu mythology, but the main character, Aru, and I told Roshni this, like, I wish I had read this book when I was in middle school. Like, Aru is me. Like, this girl is, she is so, I mean, nerdy and awkward, and she speaks in movie quotes. And I was just like, I wish that, 12-year-old Katie could have read Irish Shaw because she would have felt a lot less lonely.
Hmm.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah, obviously, let's see. The Aragon series by Christopher Paolini, you can vouch for that. Those are fun.
Yep.
Dragons.
Yep.
Um, The Hunger Games is a good trilogy for if you're not looking for fantasy so much as just like a gritty kind of dystopian
Hmm.
series.
Yep.
Um, Sorry, Tonks just sat on my phone and turned on Siri. Um,
It's
Harry
funny.
Potter. Speaking of Tonks, I love Harry Potter. There's so many. How many conversations have we had about Harry Potter and the themes in Harry Potter? I remember driving to Manhattan, texting. Sorry, mom and dad, on my
Yeah.
T9. To be fair, you didn't have to look at your phone because you knew
Yep.
where to come with Sam about what the Horcruxes could be in Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Yep.
And I remember David, our cousin, spoiling a death in Harry Potter for me. And another really good book is the series, I guess I should say, is the Winter Night trilogy. It's actually the last fantasy book that I read before I got on my thriller kick.
Hmm.
That wasn't like Brandon Sanderson. you know.
Yep.
And that's by Catherine Arden. It's Russian folklore, kind of. Um,
Wow.
it's like
Baba Yaga.
yeah, historical fantasy. It's really good.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzek. If you want a book that will be so beautiful to read on the page, because it's how the words are on the page. Like, I don't think it would be
Hmm.
the same as an audiobook.
Okay.
No, how the words are on the page is important. Sam gave me that book and said, I have never cried harder. Here you go. But it's so good.
That's great. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
Most of
What
them
if,
are
so
fantasy.
most of them what?
Or probably fantasy.
Yeah, same. It's like all I have to recommend.
Yeah.
Um, if somebody's really interested in like, hey, who's this Brandon Sanderson guy? I've never heard of him. Where would you suggest they start?
I think the popular answer is his Mistborn series.
Okay.
Because excuse me, that was mean.
Tonks wants attention.
She does. She just reached over and bit my arm.
Ow.
Yeah. She's a monster. I Mistborn's not my favorite.
Okay.
I just think it's really good. So like
Yep.
it's probably like an 8 out of 10, but it's not my favorite. But it is a good introduction to the world. If you want a fun book by Brandon Sanderson that is loosely connected to his overarching Cosmere, I would suggest reading Tress of the Emerald Sea. It was one of his secret projects that came out when he was like during COVID, or he wrote it during COVID. And it is so sweet. It's like The Princess Bride, kind of. So if you like Princess Bride vibes, that kind of
Yeah.
introduces you to his writing style. You made a character called Wit, who is, I don't know, maybe a little important.
Maybe.
Otherwise, Elantris is really good. It's a standalone. And same with Warbreaker, standalone.
Yeah.
You don't have the like pressure of a trilogy or something.
Yeah. That's actually a good distinguisher. Like standalone book, one story, don't have to commit to 3. Although if you read the first one and you get through it, you're probably committed to the other ones.
Right.
What was his series? Was it the Reckoners series?
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
That's a
That's like a young
trilogy,
adult.
right?
Yeah, it's young adult. The concept is kind of like what if superheroes came to Earth but they were bad.
Yeah.
That's a fun
Yeah.
series.
I love that one.
Yeah, he's got another one. And I think Dad read those, and he read I don't know what the series name would be, but the first book is called Skyward. It's another young adult
Yeah.
series. With aliens.
I've seen that cover before.
It's good. Like he's the landing on it.
Oh, he hasn't finished it yet?
No, he did. He stuck the landing.
Oh, he stuck the landing. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, for those of you listening interested in getting into reading again, feel free to hit the little button on podcast that says to go back 15 seconds and hit that a number of times to clip, all the series that were recommended and build out a reading list. Hopefully at this point.
Megan Miranda is a really good author if you want thriller that's like a Hallmark movie.
Oh, nice.
She's like a cozy thriller writer. She's really good. So something other than fantasy.
Yeah. Throw on a blanket, get a cup of tea or coffee,
Yeah.
put a fire in the fireplace or put a fire on the TV, and just read.
Yeah.
Nice. Those are good. Those are great recommendations. Hopefully people get some joy from seeking those out. It brings us now to talk about the book series that you are a co-author of. Would love for you to just describe your series, who might be interested in reading this, and I'll leave it there and then we'll move into talking about the upcoming book.
Yeah. So it's fantasy adventure. There's romance, but clean. needed to be able to have dad and grandma read it.
Mhm.
Also, that's what I prefer. Um,
Yeah.
so the story focuses on Steel. She's a horse thief in the kingdom of Solaria. And being a horse thief is something that is punishable by death. So she lives a risky life. And she inevitably gets caught, sentenced to die. But instead of being taken to the gallows, she's put on a train and taken out into the Nishari Desert. And what follows that is her path inevitably crossing with Prince Aldair of Solaria, and the two of them coming together on opposite sides of the law, the thief and the prince. And they kind of have to learn to work together to uncover some corruption pretty deep in the palace and the kingdom. And I can't get into too much more without like
Yep.
spoilers for the
Yep.
second and the third book. But that's kind of the gist of it.
Totally fair. Not getting into spoilers.
It's good.
Um,
It's Steele's the protagonist, but I love our supporting characters, and it sounds like the people who read it also enjoy the characters as much
yeah.
as I do. Lauren does.
Yeah. And Lauren, you've already said it, but Lauren is co-author
Yeah.
alongside you. Yeah.
Yeah. We share a brain.
Yeah. Which, I'm sure there's a whole other like conversation piece that could be done on the co-authoring process.
Yeah.
But really important character that I found like I really enjoyed was a character named Tannen that is just really weaved throughout much of the first couple books. Really identify with that character.
There are definitely subtle and not so subtle nods to people in our lives.
Yes. Yeah. Tannen, you're just gonna have to read it to find out who Tannen is and
Yeah,
why I've said what I
like
just said.
mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the first book. So I've read the first book. I bought it on Kindle because, that's a whole other polarizing topic. But for somebody who likes to read before going to bed, I don't know that you can beat Kindle, especially if you have somebody else beside you who's like trying to go to sleep and you don't want to lie down in the room. Anyways, I defend my Kindleism. First book, I remember reading it and really enjoying it. And I remember having the thought of like, I feel like I can say I enjoy this and I'm not saying it because my sibling wrote it. Like, and it was a nice thing to be able to feel and like authentically feel. I enjoyed the characters. I feel like I could picture the world as I was reading it, which is always a litmus test for me of like, do I just get distracted or can I actually picture it?
Right.
And then I was left with questions, wondering what's going to happen there. Why was that detail included? And so that was also fun for me. And I just started reading the second book. I had actually, and you guys just put out a post actually on social media, which was really helpful for recapping characters and helping people like pick up the story.
Yeah. Well, it's with most fantasy stories, there are a lot of characters, and it can be hard to remember all of them, even when you create them. And so,
Yep.
a post we're going to do probably this week is like a question we get is, how do you keep track of so many characters? And the answer is, we have an index, and you do too. It's in the back of the book.
Wouldn't you know it? You do too.
You got it.
Yeah. If you put in the work to make an index, it's always nice to point it out.
Yes.
So, where is book 3 at right now? Is it public yet? What book 3 is going to be called? When do you have any idea of it dropping? All those questions.
Yeah. So the title of book 3 is The Dawn of Solaria.
Okay.
Came up with the title when we were in Mexico on a work trip. And it was fitting, came up with the title for the second book, which is The Pride of Solaria in Iceland. So we were like, well, obviously we have to go somewhere foreign to name this book. So it is done. And Right now, our cover artist has been on vacation. I think she gets back this week. And so she's going to take the dimensions that we gave her after uploading it to Amazon for the front cover, the spine size, and the back cover. And so she'll adjust that, send it back to us. We'll upload it to KDP, make sure it fits, and then we order off their proof copies so that we can then take the book, like physically hold it, and go back through and make sure all the formatting looks good. We write out of Google Docs because we can both access it, but to upload it to Amazon, it has to be a Word doc. And when you copy it over, the formatting gets all messed up. So we had to go through line by line, make sure all the formatting was right. It's hard work. Like none of the italics transferred over. So anytime you have a word that needs an emphasis, or da 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 da, she thought, or if you have characters that when they speak, it's in your head, and so their dialogue is italics. We had to try to catch all that. So just making sure that we caught all that, and then I think we're thinking August to publish it. It will depend on how much we have to do with the author copy. If we need to fix anything. Fingers crossed we don't.
Yeah, for real. That's a lot. When I have to write for school, sometimes you have to, like, when you're citing other works, you have to italicize other works. But that's only like 6 times in like a short paper. Yeah. And I'm like, this is really annoying. I can't imagine doing it with all of the stuff you just said.
I literally started twitching. It was, and when we uploaded it, we had to put it in the 6x9 format. It was like 663 pages.
Wow.
Which is a lot. But with all the formatting that we did and all of the little tricks that Lauren knows in Microsoft Word, it's now 400 and some pages.
Okay.
Without cutting any content.
That's pretty cool, honestly. Do you feel when you see the page count, are you like, wow, like we did that? That's kind of cool.
Yes. And I was also a little terrified because we thought there was a cap on KDP for how long your book could be. And so Lauren thought she'd seen somewhere it was like 500 something. And so we were panicking, but it's like 8. Yeah. So we were fine.
Okay. Good. So if somebody wants to try and get caught up on the series before book 3 drops, or just join in this world, how do they do that? Is it for sale on Amazon? Is it other places? Yep. Like, how do they get a hold of it?
It is only on Amazon. I think there are some other websites that try to resell books off of Amazon, but we only get paid if you buy it on Amazon. Sure. It's available. The first book is available in paperback or Kindle. It might even be Kindle Unlimited. The second book is available in paperback, hardback, and on Kindle. I don't believe that one's unlimited. And we just dropped the price on it. Hey. And then the third book will also be paperback, hardback.
Okay.
And I don't know about audiobooks. We might dabble in that at some point. I know audiobooks are like big, but I don't know what that would look like, how expensive that would be. I don't know any of that.
That's cool. I'll put a link to the first 2 books in like the show notes so that people can find it.
Yeah. Thank you.
It'd be fun. In a fun way, you know, if people have resonated with the shared experience we've talked about with reading fiction and the joy we've taken from it, and hearing even how you have talked about your own story in writing Steel or these other characters, like I feel like people having that context of you as a co-author, and I know Lauren has her own story that she could talk about as well. Like, hopefully that piques people's interest to maybe, let's pick it up, see what this is all about. So, well, at Slow to Speak, one of the things that I want to do in talking about the things that form us, which this has been fun for me because sometimes there's a stereotype of like, when you do a podcast and you want to talk about the things that form you, you have to like talk about culture wars all the time, and it's like, not really. There's a lot of performative stuff out there for us, but
Yeah.
um, one of the things that is really fun for me that I want to start doing with people is putting them through a lightning round of questions of sorts. And so you alluded to this before we hopped on, but these questions aren't necessarily the types of questions where you're like, oh, easy, quick answer. But that's kind of the fun of it, is you want to be able to answer maybe a bigger question quickly, knowing full well that you can reserve the right to change your mind at a later date should you desire to. This is not a question that was provided to you beforehand,
Oh my
but I
god.
am curious. I am curious how you would answer it to get the juices flowing. Um, what is something you know how to do so well that you could teach someone else to do it?
The first thing that popped into my head was groom a horse. So
Nice.
I could teach somebody, it doesn't matter if they were old, middle age, teenager, kid. I can teach you how to correctly groom a horse.
Yeah. From photos, I get the sense you've taught a few kids how to do that
Yes.
recently. If you
Yes.
could teach them how to do it,
And to not
maybe,
be
hopefully.
afraid of this big animal.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a great point. Horses are a lot bigger when you're right next to them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question. Who's someone that you've learned from recently, and what did you learn?
This is the question Easton predicted I would answer. And
Nice.
he was right.
I love it.
So my answer is him.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
when I asked him this question, he said he learned from me, and I
Hmm.
was surprised. And I said, well, what did I teach you? And he said that reading books is more fun than I thought it could be. And this is our
Hmm.
nephew. He's 10. And I
Yeah.
just read him The Hobbit, and we're on to Lord of the Rings right now. It is slow going, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it really kind of struck me how, like, something that's just fun for me, to
Hmm.
revisit The Hobbit is actually making a difference in his life. And I saw it with Eli too, our other nephew. I had some Calvin and Hobbes comic books. I gave one to
Hmm.
Easton and one to Eli. And they both really enjoy, like, Eli was telling me at dinner tonight his favorite little panels and what he likes best that Calvin does. And it's just so fun to see them enjoy this fiction and to want me to read to them or choose to read this comic book about this kid and his tiger over,
Hmm.
a screen. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's really cool.
I know. Easton was like, I think you're going to save me. And I was like, you're right.
You are correct, young one.
He is.
He said that reading books is more fun than I thought it would be. That's what he said.
Mhm. Yeah, like
I feel like that's
it was better than he thought. It was good, you know.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Long may it continue.
Mhm.
All right. Next one. What is an opinion you have that people might think is a hot take?
You know this, and it is a hot take. I think McDonald's is better than Chick-fil-A.
That is okay. Describe better. What does better
It's a
mean?
scorching take. I know. I think that the cheeseburgers taste better than the chicken sandwich. The French fries are in a league of their own. They have cured me from migraines since college. And their Coke is just,
Okay. There's no like personal bias in that, like nostalgia or anything like that.
I mean, maybe because of the migraine situation, but if you put a Chick-fil-A French fry in front of me and a McDonald's tastes better to me.
Yeah. You know what? We're gonna create a poll after we post this episode on stories, and we're gonna see what people think. I'm actually suspicious that maybe more people might agree with you than I think.
I
But
don't know. Uh,
like
anytime I've said it, people are like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" So I don't.
but here's the thing. Comparing beef to chicken is hard. But like the French fry one feels comparable. They're both French fries.
Well, I would rather eat a McChicken than a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Now, there's the hot take right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. All right, moving on. Don't know what to say to that one. Goodness. Well, next. If you could say something to a high school you, what would you say?
That things are not going to, like at age 39, you are not going to be where you think you're going to be, and that's totally good.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you've got some really incredible friends coming, some really incredible adventures coming,
Hmm.
and it's going to be awesome. Hard at times, really hard, but we're going to be okay. You know that
Yeah.
song? It's by Jimmy Eat World, and it's the middle. I don't want to sing
I
it
don't
for you.
know. Yeah,
It's
I don't
it'll
know.
just take some time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we were in high school, my senior year, we had to pick a song that we felt like described where we were. So I picked that song, and I still feel like that song is great
Yeah.
and a good reminder.
Oh, it's such a throwback.
Yeah.
Wow. It almost sounds like you'd give yourself in high school a sense of like calm and comfort and peace. It's gonna be okay. But
Yeah.
then even like some hope. Like there's gonna be some really cool people you're gonna meet soon and relationships you're gonna have that are gonna be really awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
I love
Exactly.
that. Also, sidebar, but thinking about when we were in high school, and obviously you're my older siblings, you were there before me. Uh, you ever look back at like current high school students and think like, why do they look like adults and act like
Yes.
adults already when
Yes.
we were clearly not even close to that?
I think it's because like our parents just threw us in whatever, and the people who have the high school kids now just have better sense of like style. I think it's all
Yeah.
about it's style, the
Yeah.
clothes and all that. But yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Like when I do
Today's
all
world feels more image conscious.
100%.
When I was working with students in Florida, I almost started to feel bad for students because I was like, your life feels so complicated and mine felt so simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel a sense of like, I don't know if, I guess the right word is compassion. I was like, man, you feel like you didn't have much time to just be a kid.
Yeah, for
But
sure. Well, and like everything everyone is overstimulated, and we've gotten to the point
mm,
where that's just become the norm. Like you can have a TV show on and be on your phone at the same time, and your attention span is pulled in this two directions, and that's becoming like normal.
yeah,
And I just ugh, too much overstimulation. It's exhausting.
reading could be a great,
Yes.
um, like antidote to if you're somebody who maybe doesn't like how distractible you are or like you don't like that feeling of just feeling superficial, like reading could be a great practice to offset that.
Yes, put your phone on silent and pick up The Thief of Solaria
Boom, boom.
or any of the other books that we mentioned.
Oh, that's good. Good. Here's a easier one. What is something you've changed your mind on recently?
You're such a brat because I told you I don't know. That's something I've changed my mind on. I guess like I was literally thinking about this the last 2 days, and I think I was overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
But one thing I did think of was I've been and continue to be very wary of the AI invasion that's happening.
Hmm.
Um, like to the point where I just feel like it's gonna suck all of our creativity and ability to think and speak for ourselves right out of us. But in planning our Norway trip, Jarvis, as I've called him, ChatGPT, has been a great travel guide guy.
Hmm.
Like I have actually found it to be extremely helpful when it comes to
Yeah.
figuring out the best way to get from the airport to the hotel or how do I buy these train tickets. And then I was having a problem on the website and the website's in Norwegian. And so I took a picture of it. I asked Jarvis, what is this? And Jarvis was like, well, all you need to do is do this, this, and this. And it was right. So
Hmm.
maybe that, like,
Yeah.
there are good ways to use it, but there's an asterisk because I think it can be dangerous.
Yeah. We need to like find the line of like it being a helpful tool versus like, yeah, we just start to rely on it for doing everything to craft an email for us or to write a paper or
Right.
think of like, and I don't want to dog on it too much. I know that there can be times where it's helpful, but
Sure.
um, I don't know. Maybe we could just, like you said, start to rely on it too much instead of spending an extra couple seconds thinking about how to word something. But
Right. That's
I predict that there will be. I was texting a friend the other day and I was telling him, like, I think this sports commentator, they would gain a lot more of my respect if they just came out and said this. And when he read it, he was like, did AI make this? And I was like, no, this was 100% human made. And then I put the little trademark emoji next to it
yeah.
because my suspicion is it's not going to be too far from now where we're going to start to almost like when you see like handmade goods like leather shoes or belts, you're going to start to see like human made stickers
Hmm.
on papers or articles or different things that indicate there was a person behind this writing and editing it and not just a book or a
Well,
machine.
and like there was a quote. Well, I think it was probably on Reddit, and it was like, nothing made me believe in the human soul more than seeing art created without it. Something like that. Like where
Hmm.
you look at a picture that is an AI generated image and there's just, it doesn't have that spark of there's somebody made this, you know?
Yeah. Hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
But apparently now you're an AI advocate, so you've changed your mind. It's good.
No, no, no. That's not what I said. There's a, don't edit out my asterisks that I think it can be, it's dangerous.
Yeah, I won't. I won't. Okay, last one, real simple. If you could broadcast one message to the world, what would that be?
Oh, the first thing that popped into my mind when you sent me this was a quote from Doctor Who, which
Hmm.
is a show that I love. It's sci-fi.
Hmm.
And the 12th Doctor is played by Peter Capaldi. He's not everybody's favorite, but he's mine.
Cool.
And when his doctor is regenerating, he has a great little, it's just a couple of sentences, and I think about them a lot. So I'm going to read it. Not
Cool.
all of it, just the parts that I like the best.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. Never be cruel, never be cowardly. Remember, hate is always foolish and love is always wise. Always try to be nice and never fail to be kind. Laugh hard, run fast, be kind. I have a shirt
Hmm.
that says that on it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Said laugh hard, run fast, be kind.
Yeah. I can't run fast,
Nice.
but I like laugh hard, be kind, and run your best.
Run your best. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although when we're running, we always think we're fast
Yeah.
until someone else runs beside us.
Yeah. But just, yeah, never be cruel, never be cowardly. Hate is foolish, love is wise. Try to be nice, never fail to be kind. I just think there's a lot that could probably be smoothed over if we were nicer to each other.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, what would, and you can take some time to think about this if you'd like, what would some of your own words be to potentially help someone get over the mental block of they know they would like to start reading again, I would like to pick something up, but it's just hard to pick a book up and get started. What type of words of encouragement might you offer to someone to help them get over that block?
Oh man, like you just have no idea the adventures you'll have. Like the doors that will be opened and the experiences that you'll have and the lives that you'll live and the things you'll get to do and the conversations then you can have with other people who have experienced like what you were saying earlier, the same things. There's just a like you're going to not only enrich your own life, but in finding a community of people who have read the same books, you're going to enrich like deepen like friendships and relationships and draw more into your life than you even know.
Hmm. I love it.
Yeah, and just
Um,
do it. It's the
yeah,
best.
just do it. Have
Yeah,
fun.
and there's
What
nothing
what have
wrong
you
with
got to lose?
yeah, there's nothing wrong with reading childish books because sometimes those are the sweetest. And if you need a gateway book, go for it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I feel like it would be fitting to sign off with a quote.
Okay.
So this is a quote by George MacDonald, who apparently was a favorite of Lewis and Tolkien.
Ooh.
But he spoke this quote to what fiction can do. He said, "The best thing you can do to your fellow next to you is not to give them things that they don't want, but to wake within them the desire for things they didn't know they wanted." So he said, fiction quietly awakens deep desires we may have buried in adulthood.
Man, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's good.
To your point of like, you just don't really know what's awaiting you, what doors could be opened. I haven't met anyone yet who enjoys reading fiction that wouldn't agree with that. And so if it seems to have such a strong track record, why not give it a shot? We're not saying you have to. It's just an invitation to try and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's the best.
So, anyways, thank you for your time. Thank you for persevering to get your camera to work.
So dumb.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Or, the best reference of the entire podcast coming at the end. We'll see you next time on Endor when we go on our next Ewok hunt.
Yes, it's on.
Shout out Battlefront 2.
Yes, shout out Callie.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.
Good? All right. See you next time, friends. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us for this installment of Slow to Speak. I'm so happy you chose to share this time with us, and I hope you learned something. The whole reason the show exists is to learn by sounding out the ideas and the stories that shape and affect our lives. If you enjoyed this episode or you were impacted by it, would you consider sharing this with your friends or family and maybe leaving a review of the show? I'd also love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments, or even any ideas, things that you'd like to see discussed on the show, you can let me know by emailing slowtospeak@gmail.com. And don't forget the E on the end. Audi alterum partum, everyone. We'll see you next time.